and you could say this is the reason, but a lot of people who are wary of, and you could say this is the reason, but a lot of people who are wary of you or freaked out by you are not going to have a deep understanding of the context, and they're never going to. So if you're not interested,
which is why I
that's fine. That's fine. You can absolutely choose.
You can
absolutely choose to not. Sure, you can choose to not engage with people who don't have the context. But the only issue is that you can't talk across the divide then, if that's the case. But maybe that's fine, and maybe you don't need to. Like your critics are not going to. You're not going to be able to address what your critics are saying about you.
I can speak to people who are going to listen to what I'm saying, rather than people that are going to give a moral judgment about a circumstance they don't know about.
There's a lot more of the second group than the first group. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Okay. Well, let's move on.
I'd speak to Destiny because he's not like that, you know. This is kind of the common factor between us.
God, I'm so cool. Everybody knows how cool I am.
Immediately do that moral judgment. You should feel this way. I feel this way about this, so you have to feel this way about this, and this is how you should communicate your feeling about that. He just tries to understand your perspectives and views.
I don't think you should feel bad about it.
But you keep projecting how I should explain how I feel about it and how you feel about it, even though you don't understand the complexities of the situation.
Well, one of my suggestions.
I don't say that.
One of my suggestions to you was that you should say, I don't give a fuck. Like, that's not my problem.
Well, why would I say I don't give a fuck when I clearly give many fucks, because I've done documentaries on the subject and spent years investigating it. I deeply
that's
care
fine.
about
That's
the
fine.
which is why I can't just.
My point
which
is
why I get hyped up and start talking about it and trying to explain all of the details.
Yes.
Because I really care and want people to understand, not to just have this, don't care, blah, blah. Like.
My point is that what you are perceiving or intending to be as giving context is coming off to me as evasive.
Defensive and evasive, true.
So, like, there's no question you can ask me about cuties that is going to take me longer than, like, 15 seconds to answer.
It's a fucking Netflix movie about girls twerking. This is one of the most complex historical issues in the world. Migration. It's got thousands of political policies written about it, thousands of lives lost, millions of different stories and routes people take. Like, what the fuck? You expect me to answer that simply just because you can answer a simple question about an hour-long Netflix movie about little girls? Like, it's unbelievable.
Well, I could say the same. I could say that pedophilia and attraction to children and child abuse and human trafficking are huge issues with thousands of lives lost. Moving parts. The human brain is the most complex piece of machinery ever invented by nature or whatever. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying I'm not.
You just said. All right, continue.
I reject your claim that I'm telling you how you should feel.
Okay.
I don't think telling you how I feel is the same as telling you how you should feel.
Well, okay, so maybe I should have just clarified. I don't care how you feel about this circumstance because you don't have the context or understanding to apply a proper analysis, even emotionally, in my opinion.
Sigma versus Sigma. Oh man.
That could be true.
That's my belief.
When two Sigma males collide.
You'll look into it more. I understand there are a lot of things that people have initial human disgust and outrage over, but I believe a lot of that actually comes from social conditioning.
Oh no!
I believe you've been
oh no!
Absolutely.
Careful.
To have certain disgust response about things we don't fully understand or have looked into.
Absolutely. And so then my next question is, how do you think we should handle it if the story scares me and makes me scared of you to some extent, And we don't really have time for you to give me the full context because it is too complicated.
I
And
can send you a few documentaries I've done on it. A speech I did on it. Like,
yeah, but I'm saying in this conversation, we're already having the conversation.
Yeah.
So my question is, how do you think, how do we handle it? If there's a story about you that scares me, that does resonate with me in a way that freaks me out, but you're saying that I don't have the context to intelligently form an emotion, much less express it to you, or expect you to care about it. Do you think that
you can form an no? Oh, sorry. Finish your question.
I'm not attacking you. Do you? I think it's
I had an answer for what you were saying, and I want to let you finish.
Well, yeah, I just want to genuinely ask you, how do we handle the situation? Like, clearly what we're doing isn't working, right? So like talking past each other, where you feel like I'm moralizing and I feel like you are not like connecting with the kind of blunt points that I want you to hit. And you don't want to do that because you feel like doing that would be oversimplifying and missing the like real context and meaning of what happened. Do we just not talk about it, or is there a way to talk about it that's better?
There is a way to talk about it. You can absolutely form an emotion. You can absolutely express that emotion, but then don't put yourself in a position where you're giving me advice about something that you've just admitted you don't fully understand.
Yes, I don't want to be giving you advice on. I see what you're saying. I don't want to give you advice on how to talk about this thing. It's more just about how to not appear defensive.
I can agree that I appear defensive, and I can agree that I don't address this as well as I would like, or
have you
as
seen
concise
8 Mile?
as I would like.
Have you seen 8 Mile?
A long time ago, and I barely.
Okay, you remember the last rap battle in 8 Mile?
I am white trash. I am a fucking bum.
So Eminem goes first, and his freestyle is about himself.
Can you send me
About
your
how he's a
template for the
loser.
Strong app so I can have that shit?
About how his friend is an Uncle
Send
Tom.
you the template for what?
About how his other friend
Strong app?
shot him.
Oh, I don't think you
shot
can
his
transfer it to
dickhead
another
off with
person.
his own
And then you have
gun.
to
Can
enter
you
it
show
all.
me screenshots, or
He's ripping
just
on
want me to
himself.
enter it later then?
And
We'll
then
do it tonight.
when he finishes, Anthony Mackie goes next, and there's nothing he can say because he's already destroyed himself and the other person. There's nowhere to go from that. So I think I'm much more of that school. I wouldn't take it as far as I do, but like, if you just take whatever the most true bad thing about you is with regard to this and just say it first, like what would anybody say to you about it? I think that's what I'm trying to get at. I'm not trying to.
Is interesting.
Yeah.
When I first watched your content and when I listened to your conversations, I think what I found, what I liked about the way your brain worked.
What you used to like.
And fascinating. No. I just think you're applying it badly here. Okay. What I found interesting about how your brain worked was you feel correct me if I'm wrong, you feel there's like this uniting factor in people of us all kind of having horrible thoughts and horrible things we've done that the ego and pride don't allow us to just own and address. Before I move on, can you confirm or deny that I'm analyzing that appropriately?
I think it's a similar thing. My lens is more that social norms where they currently are restrictive and isolating because we, especially on social media and the internet in general, we cannot express things that are more true to ourselves. Instead, we're expected to sell ad time and be safe for a paper towel roll ad to play before we talk, rather than to really connect with each other and ourselves. So it's kind of the same thing, but it's I find social norms stifle us at where they are now, so that it's harder for us to connect to each other, and it leaves us feeling like we're the only sick one in a world full of normal people.
Yeah. So I think I understand why you grasped onto it, this flare situation, as kind of that thing that would be that for me. Mm-hmm. This thing that I've done that is like people are horrified by, and maybe I just need to accept it, that I am this thing that is horrifying to the world instead of just completely misunderstood or whatever, or you want me to grasp onto that in some kind of way. But that is not the thing for me. I get annoyed when it's brought up because it was like literally such a short point of my life that gets so highlighted and is almost constantly misunderstood and is almost impossible to talk about, like in this conversation, because no one has the wider context or understands the policy issues or blah 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 blah. Even the people who think they do, like I know Lonerbox did a big video on it and could deep dive into that, but like that's not the thing. That when I look at myself in the mirror and I think, oh my gosh, you're horrifying, Lauren, like I dislike this thing about myself, I just need to accept this thing about myself, that's not even in my peripheral. There are things I have like that because I'm a human being. And I have those things where I look in the mirror and I'm like, geez, like, get your life together, get your mind together. That's not it. And so I've spent this whole conversation just kind of irritated with like this superficial thing that's been blown up for headlines that 99% of people discussing it don't even care about or understand and misinterpret. And I feel like you've projected that general understanding of people and want to connect people through the things they're horrified by in themselves to the wrong object. It's the thing that the public and the headlines like, but it's not the thing that personally does that for me. It's not the thing I look in the mirror and think about all day and toss and turn over at night about, you know? Does that make sense?
It does, but I still think you're telling me that I think that you should be horrified by what you did, but I don't think you should be. I don't think you have to feel. I don't think you should feel about it the way I feel about it. That's just how I feel, and how I would feel, I think, if I were you. And how I feel, I mean, like
No,
all the
you wouldn't feel that way if you were me because you'd have a lot more context.
Well, you understand what I'm saying. If I were suddenly teleported into your body. So I get what you're saying, that I think that you're just in denial. I don't know. I'm thinking about it, but that's not what I was pushing at before. It's more like I just think defending yourself is a bad idea. That's what I'm pushing against. I don't want, and it makes both of us look bad. It makes us both look bad.
What if people are
Yes,
actually
in
wrong
general.
about you, though? What if someone? What if people are genuinely wrong? Should
Well,
you not stand up and say you're
okay,
wrong?
why don't you interrogate me for a while, and then I'll show you what I mean. So ask me
like,
what. We can people think I'm a rapist or a pedophile or whatever, and you can ask me about it, and I will do my best to not defend myself, even if I think you're wrong.
But this is like what your I'm a pedophile
Trauma guy is
video
based, okay?
was.
I get a drink.
Yeah.
This is like you just make a rap saying I'm this, I'm that.
Well, no, that's a joke. That's a joke.
Yeah,
I don't think you should make
I know that's
you
a
shouldn't make a
joke.
rap song called "I'm a Migrant Drowner." That's not a good idea.
So I shouldn't do what you did.
You shouldn't do what I did. No.
Do you regret that video?
No, but I have different goals from you.
That's what I was more interested about at the beginning of this conversation.
Okay.
Because I think there's a big difference between the two of us. There's similarities in the sense of how people react to us.
Yes.
There's a difference that disturbed me about you.
Okay.
This is something that when I look at you, I can't figure out. It makes my mind tick. Is I did something that, you know, like I said, I'd go back and I'd do it differently now, but I did something that I genuinely in my heart was like, I think this is going to make a better world. I think this is going to save lives. I think this is truly politically important. And I am willing to make sacrifices to my reputation, to my ability to travel, to my life, potentially, because I think this is important. I don't understand why you would make the same sacrifices reputationally and physically that I would for something like the movie Cuties or saying something edgy. That doesn't make sense to me.
It's not about cuties. It's about telling the truth. It's about if I sit down in front of my camera and I want
Was
to...
it an important truth?
The
There are a lot of
truth is...
things that are true, but some are important and some aren't.
The truth is important to me, specifically the ability to tell it. So if I turn my camera on and I sit down and I'm going to say, okay, let me give my unvarnished thoughts about this film. I don't want fear of other people or social media companies to prevent me from doing that.
So, like, would you sit down and make a video, like, saying, okay, so when I think about the truth,
Yeah.
obviously I'm a very pro-free speech individual. I dislike the censorship going on. I agree people need to have more honest conversations, desperately.
Okay.
And that's the only way we're going to fix any of this mess that we're in, is honest conversations, hard conversations. This is a hard conversation, but I'm enjoying it to a degree. Some parts not so much, some others, yes. But like when I think of the truth, I think of like you could have an abusive husband that looks at his wife
I appreciate you and I love you.
Are,
it's been great. We've all enjoyed your
people
playing.
think you
Okay,
like
it's time to chill.
Maybe that's true. Was that an important truth for him to highlight? Or was it more important for him to use his time with truth to highlight that...
Oh, God. Wait, what is
I
tonight?
love you. Maybe save his marriage. I love our kids and do this.
I think
there are truths that deserve to be highlighted and some that don't. And you can fight for free speech in both ways. I just...
Oh, I said I would do a Mr. Fanatic panel tonight. Oh, no.
I think that it's up to you
It's okay.
to decide what's important for you to say and what is important for you to tell the truth about.
You don't think there's any greater... You don't think there's anything
Is the gym
greater
dead
than
Destiny?
your own self-judgment?
Like, are we not going? I'm going tonight, but I usually go around 10 or 10:30, not
When
9
it comes
or
to
9:30.
me deciding what I want to say or what's true, no, I don't think so.
There's no greater
Because
other
other people
dictates what is true and what is important truth and what
other people don't tell you not to say
you.
things because they're not true. They tell you not to say things because they don't like hearing them or they're upset about them. No one's complaining about my Cuties review, saying it's not true that you think the girls in Cuties are hot. That's not their problem with it. They're saying it freaked us out and we hate it or whatever. That's the complaint. And so, yeah, we all have to make a judgment about, like, how important is this for me to say and how is it going to be received, most likely, and then some kind of balancing act. But I believe that the how are other people going to receive it part, in most of society, and especially online, is a bit oppressive. And I think we need to kind of expand. Just like 50 years ago or 100 years ago, we would never have been able to have most of this conversation because it would
words are important. This is why people are horrified by what you say. And the thoughts we allow ourselves to have and to articulate are important to a degree as well. Now, I don't believe in censoring them. But like you said, I don't believe in censoring you saying that you feel haunted by some of my actions, right?
Yeah.
And there's a difference between people's disgust and dislike towards someone's behavior, what they speak, and censorship. That this is true as well. Now, once again, I will always bring things back to the book I'm reading in that moment. The very opening of Chesterton's Heretics. He talks about how everyone wants a more liberal, progressive world, and we all want to have free speech. We want to be able to talk about everything except everything, seemingly, because no one wants to talk about religion or what happens after we die or, like, deeper kind of questions. We just want to be able to talk about everything. And one point he makes is everyone who's pro-free speech, they want to allow, the nihilists to talk. And if you don't allow the nihilists to talk, then you're anti-free speech and you're making the world a worse place. And it's just words. All they're saying is, the world is meaningless. Life is empty. Why can't they just say these things? Great, let them speak, but don't act like there's no importance to what they're saying. don't act like the only point is for them to be able to say it. Because if it is true, if what they are saying is true and it spreads that life is pointless, life is pain, and there is no meaning, then we would be giving murderers medals.
Thank you guys.
And I don't
Still
want to
waiting
live in
on
a world
Missy
like
to
that.
join the.
So what we say has meaning, and how people judge it, and how we choose
someone.
to
I think you might have your StreamYard.
determine things of importance within our own mind and regulate our own mind matters.
Okay, so you're asking, I think, two questions. One is, why was I willing to say what I said about cuties? And the second question is, like, why am I willing to face the social consequences? And then two, why did I want to say it in the first place?
I suppose that follows, yep.
Okay. Are you asking me to go to the second question then?
Whichever one you would like to start with.
Well, I
the
think
Hague
I
report
kind
guy
of
is on
answered
this
the
one.
first
Oh,
one.
boy.
That
Okay.
those are my unvarnished thoughts, and I want to be able to say my unvarnished thoughts on my YouTube channel. What's the point of having one if I can't do that? For me, that's what I want.
Okay.
I don't want to sell
Okay,
paper
that's
towels.
what you want to do.
Yeah. I want to
Why
make.
do you feel that those thoughts are important? I understand you want to say them. Why do you feel they're important?
I wanted to engage with the part of the movie that I think resonated with the most with me. There's a lot of stuff in the movie about like religion and culture and assimilation that I didn't care that much about. And that's not the part that people were reacting to. I mean, most people don't even know about that part. What resonated with me was objectifying children.
Why do you feel like it was important that you make a video about what resonated with you?
What's going on?
I think that's kind of how I make most of my videos, is like, and even this conversation. I asked you about the migrant thing, not because I think it's like objectively the most important thing to talk about. It's the part that I'm stuck on. And so after watching Cuties, that's the part that hooked me. And I think that's just how I decide to what I feel the strongest about is what I'm going to make a video about.
Like why? So it's just based on, you know, what you feel that day and what's kind of people are talking about. So it's just like you're.
And
you know, a lot of people. That's fine. A lot of YouTubers make their decision that way. I feel like I like this topic, and so I'm going to talk about it. But the reason that people are horrified by yours is they're like, you had a feeling and a thing you wanted to talk about, and you know that's not. There's nothing noble or not noble about just making a video because it's viral or because you're interested in it personally. Mm-hmm. But there is a question when that topic comes to something that can harm the mental state of the populace, right?
I'm happy
like
to
if someone
answer.
said,
I'm happy to answer that question if you want to ask. But I choose I'd say feelings probably are the main thing that sort of drives my channel's nose. And the other thing is like, do I have something to say that is unique? So if I watch Cuties and I think, oh, this is horrible child abuse, child porn, and that's all I have to say about it, I probably wouldn't have made the video because it'd be like, there's no point in me saying that. Everybody else is already saying it. So I'm looking for things where I feel like I have something like genuinely meaningful to add to the sphere.
What was meaningful about what you added?
That's pretty subjective, right?
Just because something turns
Just
you on.
because something's different, and just because something is something other people aren't saying doesn't mean it's meaningful.
True.
No, I'm saying I have two requirements. It has to be meaningful, and it has to feel to me like it's not something everyone else is saying. So, like, I didn't make a video on Ghislaine Maxwell. So I'm like, okay, like, yeah, she trafficked children. She got arrested. She got charged. And now she's convicted.
Uh-oh. Did Lauren make a video on her?
Like, yep. I don't have anything to say about that.
But do you understand what I'm saying when I say just because it's something different that you're saying. Just because it's something that hasn't been said by other people doesn't mean it's something that's meaningful or needs to be said. So I'm asking you,
yes,
what
that alone
about
does
what
not
you
make
said
it.
made it meaningful?
Well, I can tell you what's meaningful to me.
Yeah, that's what she's asking. Chief.
So you just did it because it's meaningful
Oh.
to you, not because you felt it.
Wait, hello?
Well, I felt-
Greater
There
No,
you
I,
go.
yeah, I felt it would resonate with
goodness.
Oh, are
us.
we
Is
only
your
doing
head
4?
opening?
Is this a 4-person panel?
Yes, that was the intention.
Oh,
So
you sure? You want to
last-
have 6 people, 9 people, 12 people? Holy shit! I'm
No.
sorry. Oh, I thought we were waiting for more people. Sorry, I'm here. What's up?
No, you're totally fine. Here's the deal. So last week we had 8 people, or 7 people, excuse me. The goal was actually only to have 6, and 7 was too many. I felt like it was really hard to get into the nuance of a lot of the conversation, and so the goal was this week to like really shrink the size like pretty dramatically, so as to promote more conversation, make it more easy for like actual back and forths without other people needing to jump in, or for any people to feel like I'm trying to save people by interjecting to make sure that the conversation goes smoothly. So we're trying to look for the sweet spot. I originally intended for 6. I'm going to try 4. I think right now 3 people. There should be a 4th, but they ran into some issues in the last second. So I probably should start over planning for this. But it's a work in progress. So Hake said at the very beginning that he thinks that he said that he believes that the word insurrection is completely overblown by the media. I hope I'm not misrepresenting you. I think he said the word insurrection was completely overblown by the media. He said that there wasn't particularly violence on January 6th. There was a shot that was one. There was only one shot, and he said that there was some unprovoked like pushing and aggression towards officers,